What's up, YouTube? Hope everyone's doing well. I hadn't made a tips video in a while, and I've been getting a lot of comments on bass trombone in particular. So this video is going to be 5 tips to improve or help you with the low range bass trombone pedal notes in particular. The range I'm going to be talking about today is a pedal B flat, and then we're going to work our way down from there. So if you want a video on anything above B flat, leave them in the comments and I might be able to make one of those too. But I've been getting questions on pedal notes in particular. Okay, so I have my 5 tips and I'm going to apply them to different sections of pedal range. The first range I'm going to talk about is a B flat to F. So these notes right here. Just right there. These are going to be more tips. If you're looking for exactly how to go about those, might want to check a different video out. This could be for if you're just getting into bass trombone, or you could have been playing for like 50 years. I've learned a lot of things from a lot of different people, so take what you can from this. The 5 things we're going to talk about with each of these are air, your buzz / embouchure, the slide, the tongue, and the mental aspect, and also the sound. Okay, when you're dealing with that range, the first big thing that's going to come up with anything with the trombone, and if you've been playing trombone, you probably know where I'm going with this, is air. Air is so important. Air is key with this range. So what kind of air do we want to be using with that range in particular? B flat to F. For the most part, you want to be using slow, warm, hot air. A good way to think about this is if you take a mirror or you're sitting in a car ride and looking out the window, you want to fog up the mirror. Just like that. That's the kind of air you want to be using. You want to be using nice, slow air. The problem with using fast air is that it's not going to line up with the other things that I'm going to talk about. Using slow air is going to connect all the basic concepts you want to use when developing the low register. For example, if I use fast air, it's going to mess up a lot of other things with my playing in the low register. If I'm using nice, slow air, slow hot air, it allows me to have control, and it's going to line up a lot of other things. Now, not that there isn't a time and place to use faster, but for the most part, especially when you're starting out, you want to be using that nice slow air. Going down, the lower you go, you want to keep slowing that air down and allow the lips to vibrate. So from B flat to F, you want an airstream. Let's say really low is down here. The way we are is right here. You want to keep that airstream the same. Nice and slow, using that nice, hot, warm air. Okay, next thing I'm going to talk about is the buzz in your embouchure. Now, sometimes we don't want to talk embouchure, and sometimes it's a weird thing. My advice to you, my tip to you would be experiment and see what works for you. Because what may work for me might not work for you. For me, my embouchure doesn't change too much the lower I go in that B flat range. I maybe lower it a little bit, and that's about it. A good way to figure this out is to actually try to buzz those pitches. When you buzz these pitches, you want to try to get right on the center of the pitch. A good way to practice this is if you're putting too much pressure when you're buzzing, try pulling the mouthpiece out a little bit and see what works for you. For me, my jaw lowers, the mouthpiece comes down just a little bit, and that's what works for me. You want to anchor your bottom lip and allow the top lip to do some flapping. There may be some variance. Air is right there. The buzz stays the same right there. And you want nice firm corners, and using that nice slow air is going to allow your lips to flap. Okay? So that's very well going to be the same going lower. Once you get to about a pedal G, a pedal F sharp, pedal F, the lips are going to flap even more. If you look up a slow motion video of a tuba player or a bass trombonist flapping the lips in that low pedal range, you're going to see a lot of vibration, and that's what you want. The next thing we're going to talk about is the slide. My basic advice for this would be to tune these notes. Here, here, and with a tuner. Look at these notes. A good exercise for this is to play the octaves above, get those right in tune, then go straight to the low register. For example. If you hear a difference, you might be out of tune. And remember, the longer you go out in the slide, the further the positions are going to be apart. So make sure you keep that in mind. Keep your eye on the tuner and use your ears. The tongue is an interesting factor with this. For me, sometimes my tongue is a little higher above the top teeth, and sometimes it's right in the middle. It depends on many things, depending on what musical situation you're in, depending on what kind of music you're playing, depending on what sound you're going to. But very well, if I try playing with what I'm used to playing, my tongue is not low, it is not straight in the middle, it's just up just a hair. That's what I do personally, and it's what works best for me with the tongue. For the fifth thing, the sound and mental aspect of this, you want to make sure you have a nice, warm, open sound in the pedal range. If you get too stuffy, you aren't going to have that instant impact of when people hear you play, or when you're playing in a practice room, or what have you. For example, if I am not thinking about my sound, I do a lot of weird things. I start creating some bad habits. The best thing to try to get a nice open sound is to have good, nice space between your teeth. Now, not open enough, like so open that you can't have anything, but just enough to get a good sound, and you want to have a nice relaxed throat. Me personally, I get a little tense here. The more I relax, the more air I'm blowing, the more open I'm thinking, the more open throat I'm thinking. It helps. Singing can actually help with this too. Have a nice open throat, space between your teeth, and allow the air, your nice slow, hot, warm air, to just blow through the horn. And it'll just happen. Nice and open, slow, hot, warm air. Slow, warm air. So, that's if you're playing right with what you're comfortable with. If you really want to pop those, that's another story. Okay, so work on that. That's dealing from B flat to F. Now I'm going to talk about a pedal F and below. When do we use it? What is it? Why do we do it? And what do we need to know about it? For the most part, anything below a pedal F, you're dealing with some different musical scenarios. For example, you could be playing with the trombone ensemble. You could be playing movie score stuff. You could be playing a contrabass trombone. Who knows? There are a million things and places I've been to where I've never used anything below a pedal F. Not to say that it's not important, not to say that you shouldn't work on it, but just be aware that that B flat to F pedal range, that's where your money's going to be. Everything below that, make sure you have it settled, have it be nice, but know that you're not going to be using it 100% of the time. With that said, with my 5 tips in this, it's basically the same thing, just a little variance, okay? So, with the air, you want to be using very slow air. Now, the air stream with the B flat to F, let's say it's here. This is how fast you're blowing it. Anything below that, it's going to be even lower than that. The reason is so that you allow your lips to flap, so you can even make a noise with that, okay? Another thing with the air and kind of for all of these things is that this is more to my younger players. This does not happen overnight. You are not going to pick up your bass trombone, work on this, and just have this amazing low range that pops up out of nowhere. This takes time. Take time. Just like working on the rest of the range of the horn, do your long tones. Do the exercises. If you need low range exercises, give me a comment, or there's lots of things online that you can look up and other videos you can watch. But when dealing with this, you want to make sure your air is even slower than the B flat to F. Still using that nice, hot, warm air. Okay. I'm playing nice and soft so I don't murder my nice microphone. So, your buzz and embouchure is going to be the same thing. I go even a little bit lower, sometimes not. This is one of those things that you have to personally experiment with. We all have different dental structures. We all have different teeth. We all have different faces. For me, I lower my jaw. And I stay loose and tight at the same time, but allowing my lips to flap. Firm corners, flappy lips. You can think you're a horse raspberry if that helps you. Another thing to mention about that is in that really low range, I actually raise my mouthpiece up just a little bit. Especially anything like E flat and D, I raise it up just a little bit. You want to get to the point where there's not too much movement, but you want something that's going to activate it, especially when you first start out. Hope that helps. Now back to the video. With the slide, once you get into anything below a pedal F, you really need to pay attention to where that is. If a pedal note is not on the right part of the slide, it is not going to speak. And that's just something I had to learn the hard way. You will try and you'll do all these weird things to try to make it come out, but what is going to make it come out in the end with the slide is making sure it's in tune. And you need to figure out where it is on your horn. Okay? So learning where those positions go is very important. Sit there with the tuner. If you need a diagram or something like that, leave them in the comments. I can also make a video on that, but I'm keeping it kind of in the tuner mindset for that. Okay, so the tongue is a weird thing, anything below a pedal F. And this is me as a student that is constantly learning new things. This is something that still remains a bit of a mystery to me. B flat to F, that pedal. Right there. I'm a little high. What's odd is pedal F and below, my tongue actually can get pretty high. My tongue was right up there with that. Okay. So experiment with that and see where you want it to really pop and let your lips do what they need to do. Okay. The sound and mental aspect for that pedal range, even going into the false tones, that double pedal, you want to raise your mouthpiece up a little bit, by the way, for those really low ones. Might be different for some people. The sound and mental aspect of that is, I think personally, it comes back to the air, and it comes back to staying open. Coffee. Comes back to staying open with that. Okay, so keeping a nice round sound in the pedal range is very difficult, but like I said earlier, you have to spend lots of time with it. Okay, so those are my 5 tips. Those are just some things that can help you out. There are a lot of things that go into improving this pedal range. And if you need more information, keep searching, keep learning, and happy practicing. Please hit that like button and subscribe if this video helped you at all. And go check out some of my other stuff. I'm posting other tips. I'm posting a lot of my freelance stuff. So go check that out if you're interested in that kind of thing. And leave a comment if you want me to make any other video on anything I just talked about, or anything else trombone related. I'll be happy to make a video on. So I hope everyone has a great day and have fun practicing.